Hi friends, welcome back. So we've got some more details on the possible Tesla Robotaxi coming on August 8th. Want to go over this stuff with you, and the pumpers and stock promoters are already salivating, and let's just jump right in. So Tesla recently released a promo video, and it was actually promoting people to vote for Elon Musk's pay package, and they include a few images in there. They didn't specifically say what this stuff is, but there's speculation that this is the Robotaxi designs. You can see here we're looking at a two-seater mock-up, right? Moreover, this may or may not be the front end or the rear end of said vehicle. Who knows? There's not much you can tell from this, but I'm just showing you guys what's in there. You also have like an early mock-up design of their ride-hailing app, right? So it looks pretty similar to Tesla's design language on their interface or UI in the car, right? You can see what it looks like there. And then also too, we talked about this in the prior video, kind of a couple people talking about, the two-seater, etc. Someone asked, or I should say, made a comment just 13 minutes ago. This is from Walster Doomit, and they say if he, that's Musk, wanted to be radical, he could have designed and produced an affordable basic electric car. And this was in regards to the prior video I made. It was about essentially Cybertruck design, and Elon Musk was heavily involved with that. I respond. I'll address this next video, which we're doing now. Regarding the images that you just saw, Farzad, who's one of the king stock promoters, is already, is telling everyone how awesome Elon and Tesla is. Of course, he's going to do that. And I want to sort of play a little bit of this because someone requested me to roast Farzad. It's not that hard to do. The guy makes a clown of himself every time. But we'll do it just for you, and I appreciate that. And let's have a listen, and you guys will see what I'm saying here, and then we'll go over some more details.
Thing like this, the rear or the front or the side. So this looks like a brand new vehicle. Now, what's super interesting about this one is if we look at, say, this image here, and I'll pull it up here. So this is a image from the Walter Isaacson book, the biography of Elon Musk that came out last year.
Okay, and I'm happy that he brought up the book because I'm actually, I have the book and I've read it, and I can tell you more details about that. The reason why I'm bringing this stuff up is sometimes I feel like, and I had a conversation with my wife about this at lunch today, and the conversation was, are these pumper people or stock promoters, are they liars or stupid? And my wife's like, they're probably stupid liars, so why not be both, right? And I mention that because it's like, they only talk about key points. Oh, look at this picture from the book, right? But don't actually talk about the contents of the book. Moreover, I want you guys to hear this, the kind of arguments that this Farza guy will make. Here he's going to be talking about how everyone's going to be driving these two-seater, or I should say riding in these two-seater Robotaxis because they're awesome. Just listen for yourself and hear the argument that he makes.
The largest piece of the cost from a self-driving vehicle. So then just hailing something that is going to carry just you is going to be a lot cheaper than it usually is, which means that the demand for a single use or a dual, a two person in the vehicle use case, the demand for that's going to skyrocket because it's going to become extremely affordable for you to take a robotaxi versus, say, riding a bus. So if the economics get it to where a cybercab is cheaper than a bus, what would you do? Walk to the bus station and wait for the bus station and hang out?
So he's trying to make the argument that we're all going to be taking cyber taxis and forget about buses, right? That's the argument that we're making. And there's all kinds of problems with this stuff. So one is, like, when I first saw this whole two-seater design thing for Robotaxi, the first thing I'm thinking of, okay, is a family going to be able to ride in this thing to get to the airport? The answer is obviously no. Is there going to be much cargo in said thing to, say, get to the airport? Because I think that's one of the primary uses. I mean, there's a lot of uses for robotaxis, but that would be one of the primary uses, getting to the airport, that kind of stuff. The design of it just seems too small to have any reasonable luggage, maybe just a carry-on or something like that. And it's only a two-seater. And he makes the case, oh, it's going to be better than a bus. Okay. And the problem I see with this whole line of thinking, I just find it really small-minded. And basically he's just saying Elon Musk is awesome and whatever he decides is awesome. Because honestly, if we were really concerned about the environment and really concerned about energy conservation, any of these kind of things, we'd really be pushing like trains and mass transit or whatever, this kind of stuff. I don't think anything crazy, because this idea that suddenly we're going to fill the roads with all these two-seaters is horribly inefficient. But I understand that if you want to sell lots of two-seaters, that's what you're going to try to pitch people on. And I also questioned too before, like, are these kind of really small two-seater vehicles going to be okay for the freeway? it remains to be seen. They're typically not that popular of cars, like these kind of compact two-seater. Yes, you can get two-seater sports cars, that kind of stuff, but for like a really small compact two-seater, and there's more. I'm not seeing it. But yes, I understand the Farzad and the pumpers. They think it's awesome. Listen to some more stuff that he says, and then we'll go over some more details about what the book says about this stuff.
But now it seems like all the pieces are coming into place where Tesla's going to be able to release actually like something that's actually usable, where it's a self-driving vehicle, a self-driving fleet for customers to use. It's a landmark. It's a huge deal for Tesla, the company, because this is something that they've been
all right, so I can't take too much more of it, but basically it's a landmark. It's awesome. Everything Elon does is awesome, etc. That's all this stuff is, and people eat this crap up. Like 55,000 views of just basically shining Musk rocket. That's what that stuff is. Guys, I encourage you to watch my video on the review of the book on Musk, so please watch that. Also, too, please check out my book. Please check out my book. Please check out the book on Musk. Just read everything you possibly can. This is how you better yourself. You read. If you just trust on essentially people like Farzad to give you the truth, you're not going to get it. I'm going to tell you guys. I read the book. I'll tell you what's in it. I can read parts of it if you really need me to, but I just want to tell you what it is. Because also too, I respect the author to where if you want to get more details, please read it. Basically, there's a couple of chapters in the book that really talk heavily about the Robotaxi and sort of the inners of what goes on at Tesla. The first part I thought was fascinating. This chapter here is 41. It says the launch of the autopilot 2014, 2016. So this is like 10 years ago. But basically, Musk was looking at working with Google. Google really wanted to go Lidar, okay? And many of the engineers over at Tesla were also thinking, hey, yo, dude, we should go Lidar. It's going to be better for safety. Musk is like, not so fast. We want to build something cheap so that we can get as many on the road as possible. This is essentially the logic of sort of why they went with cameras. Musk also then was telling his engineers, guys, humans got two eyes, and, humans only need essentially that to be able to drive, and why can't we just build a Robotaxi car that has two cameras, and that'd be like just a human. And that's essentially what Musk is getting at, right? And the engineers, like, basically, and it's interesting when you read these descriptions, they're basically like trying to explain to Musk how engineering works and like why Lidar would be good, or radar, or whatever, like sensors, etc. And this is all throughout the book, right? They're like fighting with Musk to be more reasonable, but Musk always has some crazy vision of what he wants, which may not be practical, right? And I get it, guys. As a business person, you want to cut costs, you want to ship as many units as you can, and you want to pump up that stock as much as possible. Because part of the book as well, which is really big in it, is it's very clear. The engineers say, we can't do X, and Musk is like, well, we got to do X because I got to tell everyone we got to do X, and we got to fundraise more. And that's kind of like the whole book is filled with this kind of stuff. So the people on the inside really know what they're capable of doing, and Musk, and you could call it fraud, you can call him a con man, whatever you want to call it. But he always presents to investors that it's coming next year, it's coming next year, it's coming next year. Like we know this stuff in public because we've seen him say these things in public. But it's interesting when you know what was said in the book about this kind of stuff. Moreover, there's a chapter, like a whole chapter on Robotaxi. It's chapter 80, and this is from year 2022. There was a dinner. You can see the names of all the people at the dinner. Omid Asfar Musk was there. Franz von Holzen, Franz von Holhausen, Drew Baglino, Lars Moravi, and Zach Kirkhorn. In this photo, though, I believe Drew and Zach have both left the company. I think the other ones are still there. So that's kind of Musk's inner circle right there over at Tesla. And what's interesting in the conversations, it was the same kind of stuff. Musk just really wanted to make a big splash. He wanted to, do something that was futuristic. And for Musk, I guess it was the Robotaxi. Many actually of the other people were saying, like, Musk, dude, if you want to hit your 50% growth year, we got to go $25,000 vehicle, cheap vehicle, like produce enough of these dang things. And Musk just wasn't really into it. And the way that it's described in the book, he was never excited about producing that cheap car. And so, like, when someone says, hey, if you want to do something radical, produce a cheap, electric vehicle, this is not something that Musk was interested in. He wants to really do more of like a sci-fi kind of thing. And it's funny because, like, someone else pointed a comment on the last video as well, is that, Musk's vision of the future is like from the 1980s, and it makes perfect sense if you understand that. And I mentioned this because Musk and I are about the same age, and I mentioned that because you kind of know when someone's in your generation of the stuff you grew up with, the stuff you like, RoboCop, Back to the Future, Tron, Mad Max, this kind of stuff. So that's your influences. Ghost in the Shell, James Bond, and we talked about all this stuff with the Cybertruck designs, and then it makes sense that like, okay, that's kind of the future that he sees. And so it's funny because like the Total Recall taxi cab thing, it probably really is an influence on Musk. The other issue as well is you're talking like he's like, I really want to get 20 million of these things on the road. I laugh at this stuff because it's like it's so ludicrous. And it actually becomes really clear when you read through the book. And this is why I mentioned the book, because Farzad mentioned the book, but I don't, and I searched Farzad channel. I just typed in, book. Just curious if he has ever talked in detail about the book. Has he read the book, etc.? Maybe he has. Who knows? You can ask Farzad. I don't know. But I'm just telling you guys, if you actually read the stuff for yourself, you'll see exactly the stuff that I'm talking about, where Musk is kind of always fighting with his employees to get his vision, and his employees are like, it can't be done. I'll give you a simple example as well with the Robotaxi stuff. So Musk evidently didn't want to have steering wheels or pedals or mirrors or any of this kind of nonsense stuff, right? It's all nonsense to Musk. And the people be like, dude, we're never going to get this through regulations. It's never going to go through regulations if we don't have a steering wheel, pedal, and this kind of stuff. And, guys, just practically speaking, you put human beings in a vehicle, right? And if anything goes wrong, you may have to like stop the vehicle for whatever reason. Like, for example, yesterday, I saw a video of like FSD was driving a Tesla car like straight into a train, like a moving train, and the person had to disengage it and steer away or they're going to die, basically, right? And this kind of scenario could happen for any number of reasons. Any number of reasons you may want to disengage the robot or whatever, because maybe there's a fire and trucks and you got to stop, or maybe there's someone on the road, a couch in the middle, who knows? And I mentioned the couch thing because, true story, when I lived in LA, I remember driving one day and there was literally a couch in the middle of the room. Like, what the heck? And I almost hit the dang thing because I wasn't expecting a couch. But it happens, right? Maybe someone's probably moving furniture or whatever. There's any number of things that reasons why you may want to disengage your autopilot stuff. It's funny because I understand this, guys. I understand it more than you know. When I make these videos about this stuff, talking about, hey, this is how business is done. This is how employees treat each other. This is how Musk, is behind the scenes, this kind of stuff. People don't want to hear it. They just want to hear about, Musk is this visionary and he says we're going to go to Mars, and so therefore we're going to go to Mars. And then when it doesn't come, they'll just say, oh, well, it'll come next year. and you keep pushing it down the line. But it's frankly weird to see this whole transition, I guess, just the last couple of years. Like before, when he says this crazy, crap, and he wants to spend his money on said crazy crap, hey, by all means, do whatever you like, with your money or whatever, right? You're free reign. I think the big change we've seen lately is the stock's been crashing. I think you're down like half your money or more. I can't remember. I could check. Maybe it's 55% down from the top or whatever. You're asking calling people to vote for you for yet more money. And now you're pushing out this or Robotaxi, Cybertaxi, whatever you want to call this thing that's going to come out. And you're clearly not there. And then you have these pumper people who are like acting like it's the greatest thing. What did, as far as landmark stuff and crap, it's ludicrous. And I understand these kind of videos aren't popular. No one wants to hear the truth, right? Musk himself doesn't want to hear the truth. He doesn't want to hear that government regulators aren't going to approve his thing. He doesn't want to hear from the engineers that you need radar because like humans have two eyes, and if human can do it with two eyes, then robots should be able to do it with two cameras, right? That kind of crap. It's like how do you speak to kids that don't live in reality? and this is actually a big part of the book as well, is that it's like this reality distortion field. The truth is about this stuff, and sort of why it's fun for me to talk about it with you is, and I write about it in my book. I've had these experiences where there are some kids out there who are born rich. That's just how it is. All right. For example, let's say you work at Walmart. You're never going to run Walmart. That is done by the Walmart family. I hate to break it to you. It's just how it is, right? And you may get to that place, and sometimes you might get lucky. Maybe the owners of Walmart are awesome and they're really smart and they make good decisions. Maybe they're not. Regardless, they're not going anywhere. That's a family business. It is what it is. You could talk about, say, the LA Lakers. It's in the Bus family, if you guys know anything about sports. and maybe think the buses are all a bunch of morons, right? Or whatever, right? But you're not going to run that show because that's owned by them. In the same way, something like a Musk, he's like basically the dude with the money bags. He comes in, does the money bag stuff, attracts a bunch of talent, etc., and then gets people to do his dream. But he's not actually the one inventing anything in particular. He's got these like sci-fi kind of things from movies. Hopes his engineers can do it, right? He's not actually inventing the technology himself. And it's funny because the way the pumpers act, they act like he's the only person working over there and the inventor of everything, and it's just not true. He's the guy with the money. He was born rich, and I don't know what else to say. And I just try to tell you guys the truth on this stuff. And I've mentioned it before, and I'll mention it again. Me personally, I don't worship people who are born rich and treat other people the way that he does. We see it in public, the way he just fires employees. We hear about it in private, right? It's all out through the book, and you can see this kid's just a dreamer. Yes, it works out in the timing of the coronavirus and the pumping of with ARK Invest and that kind of stuff. It can work out for a time, but ultimately things do catch up with you if you can't deliver what you promise, and that's essentially what we're seeing here. And so that's just my thoughts on the Robotaxi. I'm trying to keep it real with y'all. I think what irritates me the most is when people just make crap up, and I don't know how much longer this stuff can go on. I find it interesting and fascinating that people still follow this stuff, meaning that hang on this dude's every word and think he's going to deliver this awesome Robotaxis and you're all going to be rich with like a pipe dream. But it is what it is. So I hope you guys understand why I make these videos, why I like to put truth out there in the world and talk about how it really works. If you've ever worked at a big company, if you had a boss who's a moron who has these crazy visions and expects you to pull a rabbit out of your hat, and it gets angry if you don't and fires you and gets someone else, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, right? If you've never had a job in these situations, you're just like, oh, Chris, you're so dumb. The boss is so smart. And when people say stuff like that, honestly, you're the idiot. If you're not smart enough to know when your boss is an idiot, you're the idiot. That's all I have to say about that. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next video.